have to add the lateral friction losses in there. That's done somewhere else in the equation. So that'll get taken care of somewhere else. Okay. I think go to that step. I think it might hopefully go there. So the first thing we want to do is determine the required number of holes. How many holes do we need in these laterals we're going to do? Required holes equals total distribution area and the maximum coverage per hole, divided by the maximum coverage per hole. And so I will tell you right now, let's see, pull up this one. This number, you want to burn that one into your memory. There's just nothing else you can do with it. The idea is every orifice should wet 6 square feet. 6 square feet. So I got an orifice here, and this is 2 foot wide, which is not in our design, but it's 3. That orifice should be designed to wet 6 square feet. That's the standard number that everybody uses, 6 square feet. So our total distribution area, if you remember, not basal area, but distribution area, was 2.4 times 100, right? 240 divided by 6. Right? And that is, so you've got 2, so there's 40. 40 holes. Okay? The first thing we did, we just determined how many holes we're going to use. So Jason, go to that. Here's where I use different manuals. She does a pretty good job getting you this far in her manual. And then all of a sudden she falls off the bridge because she doesn't have anything else for small holes. So we're going to jump into the other bolt. Let's go here then. The next thing we want to do is determine the lateral pipe diameter. Let's go to 3/16 inch. In James Converse manual, there's a nice chart at the end. I don't trust it entirely, but it's helpful. They have, let's scroll down a little bit. Zoom in so you can see it. He gives you the lateral length in feet. In our design here, we're going to center feed this. So our distribution area was 100 total. We're going to do 50 and 50. Okay. What he tells you here is he gives you your orifice spacing and your lateral length in feet so that you can determine what size lateral you need to use to feed this stuff. So, for example, if my hole spacing was 2 feet, if you come over here, my maximum lateral length with 1.5 pipe, this is in at 37 or so feet. Once you hit that number, you've exceeded the 10% variation difference. 2-inch pipe, 2-foot hole spacing, you go to 60 feet. So you see, you've got to choose the pipe diameter that fits your job based on hole spacing and length of the lateral. Okay, so the next step that we would do is go to that. And I want to show you a few things that happen here. Let's use 1.5 pipe. Okay. You can see that. I want to start by showing you a few numbers here of what happens. 1/8 hole size, 5-foot residual head, like I told you over there. Okay. Calculate. 0.43 gallons per orifice. Total system flow rate, 9 gallons. That's one lateral. I got two, right? It's 150-foot lateral. I'm going to have 100 total. That flow rate of that system is 18 gallons a minute on the pump. Okay? And I want you to take note of this here too. The difference from on the 50-foot lateral from the beginning to the end is, you want no more than 10%, it's 1%. Let's see what happens when I bump it up to quarter inch. Let's go to the other extreme with sizes. Okay. 1.73 gallons per minute per orifice. Total system flow rate on 1/2 is 37. Let's call it 40. That's 80 gallons a minute. You see what's happening here? The pump's getting big. 80 gallons a minute. Flow differential, no more than 10. I'm at 12.5. So you see what's happening here just by simply changing my hole size. I have made that system not work. So I'm trying to choose the correct hole sizes. Let's go to 3/16-inch holes. This is where we usually come into the ideal, the middle of the road. 3/16 hole sizes are kind of nice. We got 0.82 gallons per minute per orifice. We've got 17.3 gallons per minute per half, so 34 gallons a minute on the total system. And our flow differential is only 4.5 feet. So that's why sometimes that's a nice middle-of-the-road approach. We're going to pick 3/16-inch holes here. Now I want to show you what happens when I change we just talked about choosing the lateral diameter, and I showed you that chart. Let me show you in real life what happens here. Okay, maybe we could get away with, in this scenario, you see 1 1/4 inch lateral diameter. You see where we're approaching 10. Okay, and that is again from beginning to end. I want no more than 10% so that I get equal flow. If I throw in there 1.5 inches, see how it goes down? Nothing else changes, barely. But the friction keeps going down the larger the pipe diameter. Remember, the larger the pipe, and the friction occurs at the perimeter of the pipe, right? And the core of that pipe is where the water flows. So if I choke that down, I actually get more friction and less of a core of water to go through there. So the smaller diameter pipe, always the higher the friction. Watch what happens when I go to 2. See how that changes? 1.4%. So you see how we're choosing lateral sizes to try to produce this balancing effect. Table, I showed you on there how it really works. I think this designer used 1.5 inches, so we'll go ahead and run with that. So we've determined a few things already. We've determined 40 holes. We've determined that we're going to use 1 1/2 pipe to do the laterals. Okay? Based on those tables, and if you're lucky enough to get a calculator. This is 40 holes for the hole, and 20 holes per half. Okay? Now we need to know what our hole spacing is, right? 50 foot. How do we figure out what I need 20 holes on a 50-foot run? How do I figure that out? 50 divided by 20, right? And we came up with 2.5 feet. 20 holes along a 50-foot run, 2.5 feet. And that again takes into consideration that I want 6 square foot per orifice webbed by each orifice. 6 square feet. Okay? So we know something else now. We know the number of holes, we know we're going to put them every 2.5 feet. And Jason, go to Converse and scroll up to where? Keep going. Not that. Not that. There. Okay. There. Okay. And I showed you on the chart about how to choose some hole sizes. Okay, we use 3/16-inch holes in this job that we did here. So, and I also told you ideally we want 3.5 foot ahead. Earlier on I told you 3.5 foot ahead for a 3/16-inch hole for the sake of flushing. We did that work tonight. This chart out of Converse tells you what the flow rate per orifice is. See the 3/16-inch column, and you go to the 3.5 foot column and match it up, and what do I get? 0.78. That's gallons per minute per orifice. And I've got times on a total orifice as well. Equals 31.2 GPM. So far now, I've been able to come up with how many holes, lateral size, lateral hole spacing, hole size per lateral. This was already defined for me. Now I know the flow rate of the system. Why is that important? Because you need to size the pump based on the flow rate of the system. So, I've now determined flow rate equals 31.2 GPM. Okay, so we've got orifice size. We've done lateral size, force main. There's a reason you do that. If you find out, and here's why, and I'm not going to go through all the calculations to it. If you choose a diameter for the force main, you want a diameter that makes it so your pump is not ridiculous. You choose, and let me show you what I mean by that. We just found that, 31 GPM. Look at this column right here, right here, this row right here. 1.5 pipe, 2-inch pipe. There you go, okay. What that means is this. This 7.78 is how many feet of friction lost per 100 feet of pipe. You got 200 feet of pipe, you almost got an 1.5 inch, you almost got 16 foot of friction. You add that all to the total dynamic, and remember, a pump is designed for two things, for flow rate and total dynamic head. How much water do I want to deliver, and how much pressure or force do I got to push it up there to get it there? Total dynamic head. If I've got 16 foot to push against, the pump is getting big. And the bigger it is, the more expensive it is. The more expensive it is, the more expensive it is to maintain and replace. We try to keep our pumps reasonable. That's why a lot of guys shy away from 1.5 line in this example. If you have less force main, you might get away with it. 2-inch pipe. 1.94, 2 feet of friction loss per 100 feet of pipe. If I got 200 feet of 2-inch pipe to pump with, I got 4 feet of friction loss versus 16 foot to 1.5 inch. So when you're choosing pipe diameters on your force main, which is our next step, and manifold, normally the manifold matches the force main. Normally they're the same. Those are the reasons. You're looking ahead and saying, my pump is going to be big if I'm not careful. Okay? And you see here also that the friction, the higher the flow rate, this is the flow rate column, the higher the flow rate, the higher the friction. See how this, at 50 GPM, see that, 1.5 inch, 2 inch, look at the difference per 100 feet. So, another reason why not to use 1/4 inch holes, right? 1/4 inch holes means higher flow rate. Higher flow rate means it comes down the table farther. And it creates more friction in any type of pipe you use. So there's why you start seeing reasoning why you do certain things, because the end result, PDH and flow rate. All right, so we've chosen 2-inch for this scenario, and we could run through it, but we're not going to. This is 1.5 inch laterals and 2-inch force main. Okay.